Hi, everyone. Harry here to talk about Jenna Ellis's decision to cooperate against the defendants in the Arizona false elector case, which includes a number of the local folks, but also the kind of main cast of characters of the whole Trump lying, cheating, defrauding squad in the wake of the election. Rudy Giuliani and Boris Epshteyn and Mark Meadows. Oh, and unindicted co-conspirator number one, that would be the then President of the United States, Donald Trump, lying, cheating, stealing to try to stay in office in Arizona. Okay, a word about Jenna Ellis. First, like many of the people who by this point were actually being listened to, she had one credential. She has an undistinguished and basically just she lied about her record and what she had done. She had very little experience, but there was one thing she did have: a willingness to lie and say any kind of stuff in support of Donald Trump. And by the way, it brought her great prominence and, in some sense, maybe jobs and wealth. I actually debated her once on Fox News, and I was just stunned. Even for Fox News, she just said completely false things that were the absolute 180-degree opposite of what the law held, and just, said them blithely. But that's, well, for starters. Who's Jenna Ellis? A bona fide lawyer who was working for Trump the night? No. Just somebody who, just tell me what to say and I'll say it. Okay, so now what happened in Arizona? Basically, the whole sort of kit and caboodle, the troop of the nasty Trump lawyers go there, and as they did in Georgia. Oh, and by the way, Jenna Ellis has now been, really paying her, gotten her comeuppance in many different places. She's had her license in Colorado suspended. She's in trouble in Georgia where she pleaded guilty tearfully, but also kind of hedging a bit. But this is, you have to play with an open book because she's getting all 9 counts against her dismissed. Fabulous deal. But if they think she is in any way uncooperative, boom, the agreement is off. Okay, but so the facts are, with the whole gang, they go to Arizona, they badger them and try to convince them not to certify. The legislature, so that's one kind of scheme. Legislature does it anyway. Remember Rusty Bowers testifying honestly in the January 6th hearing about resisting Donald Trump's insistence that he change things and just being honest. So that was the first part. They then pivot to a false electors scheme, and they work with the 11 or so electors in Arizona to falsely claim and falsely document and get, phony baloney pieces of paper to say they are the true electors in Arizona. It's a well-developed fraud scheme, and it's according to the script that happens in and that has happened in other states. Then, when they tried to say in their defense, oh, this is only if our court challenges prevail. But the allegation in Arizona is that's a lie. They were always planning to do it. And when that didn't work, they went to Plan C. So you have the feature of everything here, and that is Jenna Ellis herself personally tries to persuade Pence to not to lie and to not certify on January 6th itself, right? So we're talking not just her, I mean, really not significantly her. The real ringleaders are Giuliani, Boris Epshteyn, the whole crew of characters. We had John Eastman, of course, he's there, and then Mark Meadows has a role. So, really, really prominent folks. Okay, so she's gonna plead and get the charges dismissed. That makes her State's witness number one. This is the thing that people were waiting for in Fulton County. She is now, going to stand up. Do you recognize Mr. Meadows in the room, Ms. Ellis? Yes, he's over there. And she's going to play it as an open book. And it was just a complete, flagrant, rolling criminal conspiracy. So she can really do, probably on her testimony, if the jury believes her, the defense will be, she's always been a liar. She's making this all up. But there'll be a lot of corroboration, and she really just, gives devastating evidence, especially, you got to imagine, against Giuliani, her one-time patron, and Boris Epstein. So this is especially bad news for them. It's also an illustration of, the problems with the Trump strategy, as it were, of trying to keep the other criminals close. Mark Meadows' bills are getting paid, others are, but Jenna Ellis's aren't. And she was upset about this. She's done a crowdfund source. She's not anyone who has any money on her own, and she wasn't a particularly attractive crowdfund source. So she's looking at a lousy case where she'd lose and money that she doesn't have. So this is the kind of pressure that exists here. It's also in Fulton County if that case hadn't completely imploded. So this is the danger of the Trump strategy. Went both ways, as we heard with Michael Cohen. Bring them in, but then repel them. And once Jenna Ellis was left out in the cold, it struck me, and I said it at the time, she was a very good and dangerous candidate for them to cooperate and give all the goods. So the sort of third big point here is this is the wages of Trump's, playing some, keeping his perceived loyalists close and others who might waver not close, but not paying her bills, and now it's really puts the loyalists, the people who have been with them, in major trouble. And this is the final point I want to raise, this is state court prosecution. If Trump is elected president, we think that the federal cases he'll just be able to order to go away. The state cases are trickier. He can't just order them to go away, but the President of the United States and this Supreme Court, it just seems likely to me they'll figure out a way to say, and maybe even a good principle of government, you can't have the President of the United States sitting and being subject to a criminal trial in a state court. So I think they would find a principle in the Constitution that says that it's sort of akin to what happened with Bill Clinton in the civil suit, Clinton v. Jones, that kind of thing. Well, in Clinton v. Jones, they let certain things go forward, but a criminal trial, I don't see it. So I think the Supreme Court would say you are okay while you're serving, and that would at least give them a few years. But that kind of principle would not apply to Jenna Ellis, would not apply to Mark Meadows, would not apply to Boris Epstein. In other words, these state prosecutions, and there are now 4 or 5, there's Wisconsin, there's Georgia, there's this one in Arizona, there is Michigan. Those continue to be extremely perilous for the Trump team, all the president's men, up to and including Mark Meadows, who still to this day is the guy who knows the most and has revealed the least and has stayed out of serious trouble. But if he's looking at the charges here, look like in real time, you would get about 5 years for them, 5 years in an Arizona state prison, maybe same thing in Georgia, maybe same thing in Wisconsin. These are a series of cases that are really precarious for the defendants who served Trump most loyally. And one thing, in fact, they suggest is, it may be that they will try again, if Trump isn't president, that just as Jenna Ellis has tried to save her skin, and has saved her skin, she's walking. This is a great deal for her, and this is what prosecutors try to do all the time. Come on in first, give us what we need, we'll give you a great deal, and they certainly did. Just as she's done it to save her skin, possibly Giuliani to save his skin or Mark Meadows, do they have information they can provide against anybody higher up? Well, yes, they do. Look at the indictment. Unindicted co-conspirator number one. That would be Donald Trump. So in a situation in which he's not elected, these state cases are hanging out there, and they're not just serious on their facts, but they have the potential, because of the pressure that they put on the people who know where the bodies are buried as far as Trump is concerned, of enacting real pressure and criminal jeopardy on him down the line. So, we think about the criminal cases against Trump and the civil, and these seem like a little bit ancillary, and in a way they are. But as the Jenna Ellis pleas show, they're the ones that could really come to the fore and really bring the hammer down on the Trump circle and potentially pose dangers for Trump himself. Talk to you later. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and other Talking Feds content, please take a second to like and subscribe. Talk to you later.